Hey, hey, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show. We are so glad that you are here with us. Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show, where synchronicity is the star. Let's see what happens today. We never know. My name is Alison Pickering, and I'm your host. And our job here is to kind of pull back the curtain and do a reading so you can see how it works. And you can see how we can interpret tarot cards at various different levels. And one lovely person has volunteered to subject herself today to the Tarot Flow. We love her for it. We appreciate it. Let's first bring in our co-hosts. And so here we go. Before we see La Reina, the Queen, our guest today, let's bring in our guest readers and our co-hosts. So from Southern California, the hair stylist to the rock stars, from a lot of hair cuts and conversations. And then we realized that we both really knew a lot about tarot and we could do this together. And let's check it out. This is Michael Bonner. Say hi to Mike Bonner, everybody. Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, everybody. And man, Allison, sometimes you give me these really, really super awesome intros.
Well, you deserve every word of praise. Mike is a genius on a lot of different levels. He's a boxer. He's a hairstylist. He's a tarot whiz. He's a very tattooed individual. So between our guest and Mike, we can just feast our eyes on all the skin ink. And so along with, there we go. Check it out. Here we go. So, and along with Mike, we have from Stockholm, Sweden, our Scandinavian savant. He has enriched my life no end since we had a chance to begin studying together during COVID in our little tarot study group, our Tarot Magic Circle. And I'm so fond of him and so pleased and proud to present you my friend Kefri Skarabus. Welcome, Kefri. Yay!
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Kefri. And I'm so pleased to have you both meet our lovely next guest, because this is someone who I've known since high school. This show is becoming a bit of a Hollywood high school reunion, I must say, and it makes us happy because everybody has had such interesting lives. We'll hear more about Azucena's life in the Follow Your Road show, but today she's let us throw her cards. And so let us welcome the woman who has led many interesting lives, and from Orange County, California, La Reina, the Queen, AZUCENA Coronel. Yay, Azu. Welcome. So nice to have you here today. How you doing, Azu? It's good to see you.
It's great to see you. Look at you. And great to see all that color and all those smiles.
All the color. I don't have the ink, but I got the rocks, I got the hair color, I got the whole shebang here. So all kinds of stuff.
Thank you. Yes.
So welcome to the Tarot Flow Show. Tell us a little bit, Azu, about what do you have experience with tarot? Is this your first time, or tell us about tarot in your life?
It is sort of my first experience because it happened a really, really long time ago. And my family, I'm originally from South America, and the women, we used to tease my mom and call her La Bruja, but in a good way, the way she was born on November 1st, and we believe that's a magical moment where you have a step both on the spiritual world and the mortal world. And
she's a Scorpio.
Yeah.
What do you expect? She's a Scorpio.
Yes, and then that's Dia de los Muertos, and that's also All Saints Day. And so that's when it's very permeable between the worlds, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And so she's passed. She's moved on, 12 years already. And she would read cards, and these were the old cards. And she wouldn't do it all the time, but based on a moment, and she would do, con cuidado, mijita, right, Allison? Be careful, mijita, today. So, so in that sense, and then I remember, I don't even know how many years ago. So it's probably my first time. It's been a while, so.
Wonderful. We're so glad you're trusting us to do this with you. We are nice. We'll be gentle.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
You're like, okay, well,
Yeah,
let's check it out and let's see what we're going to do today. So as we take a look at our flow today, we had a brief moment to talk a bit with Azu, and now we're going to have a little bit of an image tour, and then we're going to focus on a particular major arcana card and major arcanum. And we'll unpack that a little bit, make some connections to it, and then we'll jump into a reading. And all of this kind of, here we are in Hollywood, for your consideration. Check it out. If it's relevant to you, if it's useful to think about, then it's a useful thing to do. And that's what we're here for. And then for those of you who want to dig deep into tarot or get into some learning or some fun practice experiences and have some online experiences live like we're having right now, please check out ALISONPickering.com, because we're going to, in summer of 2022, we are debuting our academy, and we're going to have tarot talk and travel, and we're going to have lots of opportunities to learn, do tarot and more, lots of talk and practice opportunities, and then we're going to have some travel and meetup opportunities. And so lots of good stuff to come in summer 2024. So check us out. What we're going to do now is let's take a look at this journey of the Fool, because he's our main character. Oh, yes, you love the Fool. I see that. Yeah. So our journey of the Fool, and he is the man who is, or the woman, or the every person, they are going to journey into manifestation, and they are going to have a journey through masculine and feminine polarities, spiritual polarities. The first row, we could look at that top row as being kind of like the idea of a child's heritage, and their coming into the world, they're growing up in the house and things like that. And so there is their own internal masculine and feminine polarities, the external mother and father figure, a teacher, a boyfriend or girlfriend with that lover's card, the first car with the chariot, all these ideas of growing kind of concentric circles coming out. The middle line, you could say that those are some lessons that we go through. In our adulthood, we have the challenges of our passions, of our solitude, of luck and fortune, of law and justice, of going with the flow or against the flow, with that Hanged Man, with big changes that we cannot control, like that Death card, and tests like the Temperance card. And it leaves us with kind of consciousness. And those are in the bottom row. You could be very materialistically conscious and only think about the material things. That's going to chain your mind a little bit. Free your mind. That's the Tower. Something's going to come in and knock the lid off of those particular preconceptions. Then you're left to your authentic self. Who are you really? That's the Star. Where are you going? That's the Pathway, the Moon. It's kind of dimly lit and emotional. The Sun gives us that feeling of liberation and new beginning and finding our little inner child. And then we have this new drummer that we're marching to, and a new realization, and then into a whole new reality, a new ending and a new beginning with that World card, and then kind of back around again with the Fool. And so that's somewhat of the major arcana journey. And you mentioned that you have an affinity to certain cards. Is there a particular card you'd like to unpack with us today, AZUCENA?
Yeah, the Empress. There's something about, yes.
There's something about the Empress. So Kefri's going to put it up on our interface, and we're going to take a look at our beautiful Empress figure, and let's see her. So as we look at our Empress, we can see that she has a beautiful crown of 12 stars. Is it 12? 4.
Yeah.
8,
It's
9,
12.
10. At least 10, like the
No, it's 12.
Is it 12? Good. There's also a laurel wreath included there, very victorious. She has these pomegranates and roses around her. There's this idea of fertility. She's often depicted as pregnant. She's on a cushy thing. There's this softness. There's fertility. There's all this lushness, lush femininity, productivity, creativity, fertility. All of these things are embodied in this Empress figure. The idea that you could be an artist, that you are procreative, all of these, the idea that you're multiplying, this idea of multiplicativeness is all within that Empress card. So Mike, as I'm talking about all these aspects of the Empress, when you see the Empress and you think about like psychological implications and stuff like that, what do you think about with the Empress card?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if this directly relates to the psychological part, but Empress always, to me, being the 3, is there's lots of really important things throughout history, time and space, but that are associated with 3, which is, the Holy Trinity. There's, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. There's one way to look at it. There's also a triptych, which is a complete story. You got 3 pieces of art that are connected side by side. One of my favorite lines from someone that I know, one of her writings, she said, let me think about this. I wish my life was a trinity, so that if I still had, so I could have two more lives to live. I always love that line. It sticks. I might get it tattooed on me, actually. I've thought about it for years. Yeah, I just
You'll have
love
to find space.
Yeah, I have real estate still. But I want to go back really quick to what you guys were saying about the 12 stars in the crown. Once again, with numerology, if you break 12 down, that's 1 + 2 = 3. So I think for this reading, I can already say that I think that we should pay attention to maybe this sort of story in 3 parts that tell the story, which would be ultimately about completion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And in fact, we will have a little 3-part timeline in the reading we're using today, so that'll work out well. Kepri, when you look at the Empress, what are some things that come to mind for you?
Growing is what comes to mind, and also feelings with all the water there, streaming feelings. And then we have the secretive things here, that is the Hebrew letter, and it is Dalet. And that means a door. So there is an opening of a door in this card hidden somewhere. And also the amount of roses on her dress is 40. And that's a mystical number when we look at the Hebrew teachings and so on. And it's also the number where the personality and soul takes form and everything.
Thank you very much. And then you identified with this card. What do you see in this card, Asu, that is compelling to you?
For me, the idea of the femininity, and not as a contradiction or contrast to masculinity, not at all, but integrated within it, and the creativity more than anything else. And, you know, when you were speaking to the beginning, middle, and end, it's interesting in my world, my work world, and even in my personal world, I always believe that we have to tell the story. There's always a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's just how I communicate and everything. So it kind of made me giggle when you were saying that. And then completely, however it may be, I love roses. There's a thing, roses are my deal. That's, I don't know. Yeah. Perfumes. I mean, everything that I have smells of roses. So it just made me giggle.
Rose water. Right. I love the
rose water. Oh, rose water for like Olympia and things like that. So
for blessing or for whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm. And for cooking, they use rose water in baklava. Oh, yeah. Wow. And the honey and
my grandma used to give us a rose water. She would make rose tea. Just go pick a couple roses from the garden and take the petals off, wash them, throw them in a pot of boiling water, and she'd cook up her little bruja stuff, and our upset stomach magically went away, you know.
Of course it did.
We've used that word a couple of times, bruja, and bruja means witch, right? Or a spirit person or something. Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So let's see some more images. Let's take a look now at some of the other images. We've looked at the major arcana and our fool with the majors. There are 22 major arcana, and then the rest of the cards in the tarot are basically the ancestors of the playing cards that they use in Las Vegas, or that you might use to play gin rummy or hearts or whatever you might have, bid whist, you know, basic playing cards. And the ancestors of the clubs is the wands. That's the suit of fire. Then we also have the ancestor of the suit of hearts is that cups, which is water and emotion. The ancestor of the spades is the swords card, and the swords are air and mentality and intellect. And then we have the earth suit, which is related to the diamonds, and in this case it's pentacles. What's that pentagram doing on the pentacle? Is that a witch thing? Is that a bruja thing? I don't think so. Basically what we're talking about here, and the reason that we have the 5-pointed star is because on the earth we have our bodies. Our bodies are the interaction that we have with this earth plane, and so it's our bodies that have 5 senses. And that's why we have the 5-pointed star, because it's through these senses that we apprehend, that we comprehend, that we deal with the world, this crazy world that we're in, the physical world. And then the other ones here, the mentality with the swords, the heart and emotions with the heart, and the intuition, that kind of connection to our spirit is in that wands. Those are all very invisible and non-physical, but this one down here, the pentacles, is that physical suit, and that's why it's so slow. the horse is standing still. Things play out in time, and it's slow when it has to play out in time. And so the Pentacles is kind of a slow suit. Let's take a look at our suits. There's the Wands. And we can see these are like progressions of an idea or your intuition. Look at that 10. We've got 1 through 5 and 6 through 10. That 10, if you had to carry every single one of your ideas, it would be a heavy load, right? And then you have all these fire symbols in the court cards, the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. Then we go into the water. Here's our water suit with the cups. And the cups is a suit of emotions and feelings and calling. We can see here the 1 through 10. And if we had all of our feelings fulfilled, then we would be happy, So there's our 10 there, all the water symbols in the court cards. And then, but if we actually had to live all of our thinking with the cold intellect without being informed by emotions and things, then that might be a really rough situation. And this is kind of a rough suit because the thoughts uninformed by the emotions and by the intellect and all, and by the intuition is rather a cold thing. See all the air symbols in the court cards, and then finally warming it up here into the earth. Resources, responsibilities, jobs, contracts, businesses, family life, all those things are depicted here with lots of earthy symbols. So that's our vocabulary. Those are the pictures that we're going to be working with as we select the cards. And here's the reading that we're going to do, just so we get a little orientation here. And so Asu, your issue, and I don't know if you want to articulate an issue, you can decide that and tell us later. Are we going to look at an issue in particular, or are we just going to let the cards tell us what they need to tell us? And on the bottom is going to be that storyline, that little past, present, future, the beginning, middle, end. That little piece is going to be on the bottom. And then on the top, on either side of your issue, we're going to have some advice. It might be better to avoid the advice on the left, even though that might be your default mode, but it's probably better to avoid it. Be cautious of that. And then on the right is going to be advice that's more supportive to your growth, to your positive benefit. And then at the end towards the reading, we'll pick a 7th card, and that'll give us some additional perspective to consider the reading with. And I'll pick the cards on the 6th, and then Kefri in Sweden will pick our 7th card. And that's what we're going to do right now. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to this is our reading that we're going to do, as we mentioned before. And then, Mike, you had some things to share about the pentacles and about the 5-pointed star. Did you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I just wanted to add another, just kind of add to what you were saying about it with the 5-pointed star being connected to our 5 senses on this earth plane. In Native American teachings, it represents the 4 elements of this earth plane, which is water, fire, earth, and air. And the top point representing your spirit, and how your spirit ties directly into those elements of the earth, and how you relate to them on this plane.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So what I'm doing right now, everybody, is I'm shuffling up right now, and we're going to, and I'm going to lay them out on the table. So I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to snake them out on the table in front of me, face down, so that I'm not seeing the images, of course. And then I'm going to, we'll go to the reading that we were talking about, and including here what those attributions, the meanings are of each of those positions. And in just a moment, we'll put those cards up. So this is for AZUCENA. I'm going to move this up a bit. And I'm snaking out the cards now. Let's go ahead and pick Asu's significator. So what is it? Oh, Asu, did you want to look at a particular issue today, or just see what they pop up? What are we looking at today for you?
Not so much an issue. I feel like I'm just getting ready to touch the next phase in my life. It's like right there.
Wow.
So that it's, and so that's really all. It's not an issue. It's more like, okay, where is it? What is it?
Let's see what they say. All right, so let's see what this thing is for Asu. Asu, her issue. What are we looking at here? Okay, so this is the 6 of Pentacles. And then let's look at the timeline. Let me pull this down, and so we can see our device. So we can see our interface, I should say. And let's put that Six of Pentacles up in the big position, please, Kefri. Thank you. So we can kind of begin to see, as we think about this, that there's an equalization of resources going on now, and it's okay. It's all according to justice. And you can see that there's money flowing from the standing figure to one of the figures on the ground, actually not to both, which is kind of interesting. So thinking about this figure, he's got the scales of justice, and he's giving this money righteously to somebody who is on the ground, who's in a lower position, who's in the gold there. Now, the one on the right has an unpatched garment. So what you're going to give him is probably going to slip away anyway. And so there's this idea that you want the, so yeah, right. And so there's a decision to be made in terms of the balance and what's the correct balance of resource and who kind of, there's a trustworthiness, there's all that kind of stuff in here now. So it's entirely possible that you're grappling right now with how to handle what you have, who needs it, who doesn't need it, and who's going to waste it. And so, and making your decisions like that. And so part of this next phase of life is kind of figuring out what you're doing to distribute. Perhaps you're even thinking of writing a will. I mean, maybe that's also going in right now in terms of figuring out who's getting what and why. Might be on the brain right now. And then let's go ahead and look at this timeline. Oh, and by the way, in looking at the significator, Mike, I saw you having a little reaction, and then Kefri, let's each take a little pass at this issue that we're looking at. So I was saying that it's about balancing the resources and figuring out who's deserving and who's not at this phase and at this juncture. That could even be you. So that could be you deciding that you yourself deserve it. So, and then Mike, how do you see this card, please?
Well, going back to the Empress, which is the one that Azu had sort of picked, that's the one that stood out to her. Empress, it's related directly to Venus. I like a lot of astrology and numerology. So the Empress is Venus represents her, and Venus is about love and beauty and creativity, femininity, mostly, a lot of giving and receiving. And with the Six of Pentacles, it is also giving, receiving, generosity, sharing resources, as Alison said, and something that's in harmony. I kind of giggled a bit because I was talking about a triptych earlier, with the Empress being 3, and the quote that I had said that my friend had wrote about having a life. I wish my life was a trinity. So if I lost a part of me, I still have 2 more to live. I giggled because I'm looking at 6 and I'm seeing 3 and 3. So I feel like you have 2 triptychs. You have 2 sets of a triptych going on. That's what I see with that card for you.
Thank you very much. And there's a 6, and it's interesting that you have like the 3 on the one side, but it's not so balanced on the other side as well. So that may be kind of, and I saw you kind of going, yeah, to this idea of the deservingness piece, or somebody who's going to whittle it away or waste it or something. What took you a lot to earn, you don't want somebody else to just piss away. So to speak.
Well, look, I mean, there's 3 on one side, giving, and then there's also 2 on the other side, which is giving, but then there's 1 for herself as well, right here.
Oh, good point. So proportionality is in there as well. Thank you. Kefri, what do you see in this card, please?
I see the balance also, and I see the balance on the earthly plane, so to speak, giving and taking, and perhaps also be more giving in life, and also more allowing to oneself also. I see like a balancing factor,
like generosity to self.
Yeah,
so the deservingness might be you, my dear. You might be the one deserving of your own charity at this point. Perhaps you've been saving for the people who need it, and man, now it's you. We shall see. Maybe you're deciding on the distribution of some IRA or things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that this could represent in the practical world. Let's go ahead and see this timeline. And so we're going to go ahead and pick some cards, and I'm coming back here. Sorry for all the movement on the camera, but I just want to access the cards here. What is the timeline for Asu? So what was in the past? What was the beginning of this thing? 3 of Wands. And then what happened? High Priestess, getting wise. And then after that, what happened? Maybe this is in the future, or maybe this is just part of that story, that triptych that we're talking about here. Then what happened? The 2. Interesting similarities between these 2 cards, and there's so much travel and worldliness involved in these as well, you know, and I know that's part of your goal. Let's look at some advice here. So what should Asu avoid? What might be her default, but it's probably better to avoid this? The Chariot. Interesting. And then in terms of favoring Asu and supporting Asu, what's going to be a more supportive thing for her to consider? Strength. Interesting.
Oh.
So let's just notice that among 6 cards, we have half and half majors. That is very much disproportionate to the 22 majors versus 56. So you've got twice as many minors, a little bit more than twice as many, but 50% here. So there's proportionally more majors. This is a big thing we're looking at for you.
Okay.
So let's put up that 6 again. We looked at that 6 in terms of the idea of right now you're in this, you're considering what you have at your disposal materially. What coin do you have? And how can you be most balanced, loving, and fair in distributing this? What are you going to do with it? Who deserves it? Do you deserve it? Should you use it? Should you not use it? All of these are the questions that are coming in mind, because this idea of what's just, you know, the idea of balance. And what's your sign, Asu? I forgot. If I ever knew.
Well, I was born July 19th, Cancer, but apparently there's a lot of Leo in my chart. So, but
well, there's your strength card, so we'll be playing that up. But I was just wondering if perhaps like Libra, very much about always measuring both sides. With Cancer, it's very much about caring for people, a nice home, making sure that everybody is taken care of in a beautiful way. And all these things are important. And so let's look at the timeline here, looking at that 3. And it's so interesting to look at how similar the 3 and the 2 are on either side of that High Priestess. And so on either side of your...
That 3 is coming right back up again at the beginning of that
another 3, exactly. And like you were talking about, the 3 has been very key in here. So let's look at that big 3 of Wands, if you don't mind, Kefri. And we'll take a look at how this figure, that we cannot see her face, by the way. She's looking in the distance and she's considering all of her possibilities. And she's already set some shit. So some things have already been set off. And now this is like, what are my results? You've made some investments. What are my returns? You've reached out to some people. What are the responses? It's a kind of a cause and effect thing. And so you were looking at, okay, what all do I have? Where do I want to go? What's happening? And there's this idea that in the past you were having this larger view, looking to the west somehow is a sense I have here, but it might be the east. That yellow is very easty, and you know, we're on the west coast already anyway. But this idea of surveying the landscape, figuring out what's next. Perhaps this is you're deciding what you're going to do when you have the freedom from your day-to-day job. What are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with your money? How are you going to handle your money? Those coins are in play here. Now let's look at our High Priestess in the middle. So from this kind of overview, are you sitting in the middle and in this decision-making place? And so it is all your decision to make. You kind of know what you're going to do anyway. But it's fluid. You're a fluid person. You're a Cancer. And so water is not unfamiliar to you. The idea that this plan could flow this way and could flow that way seems like that's okay with you right now. I think that you're kind of, as long as you stay between the pillars, you're good. You know, you can kind of ebb a little bit, but you've got your guardrails and they're keeping you safe. And there's just this, you know it's going to be okay. And you know it's going to work, and you have this plan, and you're moving in. Moving into your future. You're becoming, the High Priestess is very much a wisdom figure. And so you can see that she has both the crescent moon and the full moon. So this idea of fullness of womanhood is in here, but it's not about having babies womanhood. And it's not so much even about caretaking womanhood. This is about being now the magnetic priestess, obviously, the wisdom figure to whom people come for advice, but they don't come for cooking per se. They come more for wisdom. They don't necessarily come to get tucked into bed, but they might come for an interpretation of their dream. Something like that. So there's like a difference between mom now. You're kind of moving out of mom, and now you're into diosa, reina, goddess, queen, that kind of thing. And that's exciting because it means that you're connecting with your spiritual self. Not that you think that you're all that, but that you're starting to connect with these kinds of energies within you and bring them into your physical self. So let's look at the Chariot and the Strength, which I think are really interesting. And I'm going to lean on Kefri and Mike a bit here with these recommendations because they are both of them such powerful cards. The Chariot being a major on the not so much recommended, and then the Strength one.
Cancer. In astrology, it's Cancer and the Chariot are connected.
In that seventh month, exactly. Yes, very much. And
the nurturing, the protectiveness, the intuitiveness. Also, just again, water signs. We flow very freely, and we're very fluid with things.
And I know that also you have a lot of travel goals. There's even some stuff that's on the table right now, and it might be that this is not the right time for those. It might be that going on the march right now is not as much as advised as it would be to, and I'm just going to take this at a very superficial level. So let's say that going on the march right now, at this point in time, is premature because it's not quite solid enough. You don't know, you're not there yet to be able to make this move. And I think that the 8 of the Strength on the right side with the recommendation, Kefri, and if you wouldn't mind showing that one, I interrupt poor Kefri. He's deep in thought, and then I make him do the
problem. No problem.
I would love to hear what Kefri has to say.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm going to say it first. So here we go.
Oh, no. Before me, please. I think I can see. I really want to know what he has to say first.
Absolutely. In terms of the order. Oh, yeah. So thank you. And so in terms of the Strength, just to finish up with the recommendations here, Asu, for you, the way I see this, it's telling you to bide your time and manage your passions for the moment so that you can really build it up and come out with a roar. Probably in August or more like when you are finally free so that you can take all this energy and go where you want to go. And so we jumped onto this Strength card as a recommendation before we look to the Future card in this triptych of timeline. So let's look at that 2 down below in the Future card and see how, now look how similar it is to that 3, but notice that this guy's in his house already. And so I think that this is kind of encouraging you to stay where you are for the time being, hunker down, gather your strength, make your plans so that you really, really know what's going on. So it might be premature to be on the march now before you've actually mapped it out and gathered your strength and got all your money and know really what's going on and made your plans for who you're giving what and what's happening with the apartment and, all these kinds of things that are logistical and necessary. That's really what's on your plate right now. Because notice that this guy is in a built structure and his wands are attached to the structure. So you have a lot attached to your current structures that you have to resolve before you can go running around. And so that when you do want to go running around, all of your strength is gathered. You are ready to go, and your plan is complete, and you are whole unto yourself, and you haven't let those monies slip out that little hole in the. It may be that this is not the right recipient for the money at this moment because it's too much spending at this time. I could probably take this advice myself, but I'm giving it to you. So that's the way I'm seeing it right now. Kefri, Mike's inviting you to give your viewpoints. What do you see?
Yeah, I will look at it. I look at it in a spiritual way, I think. And the Chariot card, the cautionary card, says to you also that it's not time, Alison, you have already been into it, but it's not time to define a closed-in area for your mission or for your aim, you should leave it open for now, not closing it in, so to speak. And the strength card is a bit that let the sun and the strength be there, and also understand your strength. What is it and how can you use it? And that goes back to the 6 of Pentacles that we have been talking about. What should you give and what should you keep? And how should you look at this taking and giving and everything? That's in here. Understand your strength, even if you can. Perhaps you shouldn't do it exactly as the way that you first think you should. Perhaps you should ponder it a bit more. And looking at the 3 of Wands here, this is a person that is waiting for his ships to return, and he's looking at them from a high mountain or something, and it's like you have a perspective of what you want to do, actually, and that is a complete perspective, and it is a good perspective. And it is complete because if we look at this Kabbalistically, this card, we see the whole tree of life there with 3 pillars, actually. And we also see that this person there holds one of the wands, actually. And looking it from behind, how we see it, it's the pillar of mercy. It's the pillar of light, actually. Looking from it from your perspective, it demands a lot of discipline to be able to uphold this, actually. And this discipline, and not showing it to the world that you is very concentrated when you do it, but let the world think that you find it easy, you find it as a thing you like to do and so on. And perhaps you not always do that, but you feel a mission in it. And that takes you to be the priestess in the temple, so to speak. It takes you to guard the entrance to the temple. For those who are in the temple that should leave the temple, and guard it for them to understand that yes, you can leave from here, but you should have something with you in your soul level or in your deeper level, and so on and so on. And it's about balance, it's about a moony energy, it's about knowing yourself, and so on and so on. And you already do that, but you want also to give it to your co-people around you, so to speak. And looking at 2 there you have the hand, the world in your hand, actually. So now you have achieved this space where you can work, actually. That was the advice, not to fence it in here, but when you have gone through this phase of successfully being the priestess in the temple, then you can take the world in your hand, and then you can also go out in the world, so to speak. And also, you shouldn't reveal all your secrets at once, because the priestess is a secretive person or a being, and you should keep some to yourself and perhaps gradually release it, but not all at once, because people will not understand that flow of wisdom, actually. Take a bit at a time. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Oh. My turn, I guess. Let me see. I have a lot written down here. The 3s, just the idea of a triptych or a holy trinity of sorts, is, to me, I see the just what I see in this reading right here is the top row and then the middle column, which technically makes a cross. So if you're thinking about, like I said, a triptych or a holy trinity of sorts, it's got that sort of that cross symbol, which is one of the holiest symbols that we know. I think that going back to the Six of Pentacles, about the giving and receiving of, and the generosity, I'm looking at the Chariot and the Strength being on both of your sides. And the Chariot is represents Cancer, and the Lion in the Strength represents Leo. And you said that you're Cancerian, right, with a lot of Leo in your chart. And having the Chariot where Cancer is represented, and it's, that's the advice to sort of be aware of and kind of maybe not avoid, but be aware. What I think it's saying is to sort of maybe put the Cancerian energy and vibes, kind of don't put them away, but just maybe lead with your Leo, lead with all the characteristics that represent Leo. Because that's in the sort of follow the advice position. But going back to the middle column, having that figure of giving, receiving, and all of this, and you have the High Priestess underneath her, and you being a Cancer. Cancer's doesn't have a planet. It's the moon represents Cancer, and also with the High Priestess, that's her. That's what in astrology, that's what she represents as well. So what I see is that you're really the ultimate queen of all of this triptych and this holy trinity of your life. And again, I think I get a real strong feeling of just like kind of honor your Cancerian energy, but really lead and kind of go with the Leo fire energy. So maybe be a little more I don't know, maybe I'm thinking taking a little more action, maybe, versus being maybe be a little more visceral versus cerebral, because Cancer's and water signs. I'm Scorpio, and I have a tendency to, it's all, I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this. It's you start, the first thing that hits you is all the emotions and the intuition and all of that. And then sometimes we can kind of freeze. And it's hard for me sometimes to just be fiery and want to ignite, and kind of, that's not my first place to go to. And I don't know if it's the same for you. That's why that really, really stood out for me. Just like, again, having the Chariot represent Cancer, and Cancer is the moon represents Cancer, High Priestess, the moon. Just kind of be wary, not wary of that, but just kind of be, I would say, more subtle with it, and lead with fire, lead with that strength of a lion, or lioness rather.
Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mike. So also, as you this is a bit of a fire hose, so I'm glad we're recording it for you. As you look at what are some of the things that come to mind as you look at this, as you think about these cards? Is there anything that comes to mind for you as you contemplate any of these? What jumps out for you?
Well, gosh, I think everything, usually I'm able to talk and just, I can speak in a minute. The money issue, and it's like, were you here when I was having this conversation, right? Because it is an issue of where to put the financial, the money stuff, right? And and whether it's going to waste, not on purpose, but maybe not careful managing, not by me, but if given to somebody else.
Responsibility.
Exactly. So it made me laugh a little bit. And it's interesting about the fiery Leo, because what I find, and I have been toning it down, because I find that sometimes when I walk into a room, whether it's my job or on a personal basis, it appears that I'm walking in and somebody made a joke about, in fact, my grand girl said that I'm a shining, dancing disco ball. I walk in. And
I love that.
She's great. She's 12. And so I feel like I must tone it down for people. So I appreciate saying, don't do that. Don't do that.
Especially going to this next phase in your life. You won't have to do that anymore, because you don't have to fit into that box anymore. You don't have to fit into that peg anymore. You can be your own self,
Yeah. And the fun part, again, I felt like a little kid when you were saying, basically take your time. It isn't maybe time to act on something, because part of me was going like, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to stomp my foot. But I know that there's preparation and there's perfect timing, and it may not be right now, but right. So it's interesting. It resonates very much so.
So maybe that goes back to what I was saying about the Chariot card being, how Cancer represents that card, and kind of, I don't know how to say this, but just kind of check in with your emotions before you set something on fire.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And the other thing that you mentioned, and I wrote it down as my cat was walking by, the connection with Venus, because, in the Yoruba tradition of Lukumi, here they call it Santeria, but in the Lukumi, I'm a daughter of Oshun, and Oshun is Venus. So,
wow.
Right. So when you said that, and the numbers, the 6, Oshun's number is 5, but you will find it in different arrangements. There will be other numbers around it. So when the 6 came up, I went, because I didn't see 6 initially, right? Because I'm sitting over there. So that's why I was a little, oh, wow. So yes, Oshun is the Venus, the thing, the love goddess, fertility, communication, all of those things that are generated.
Femininity, creativity, giving, receiving love. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
all those Empress attributes. I mean, let's just bring it around to the card that we originally unpacked, which was that Venusian, motherly, goddessy figure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you mentioned about guarding the secrets of the temple, because and you mentioned about not being understood. And sometimes that happens. So, yeah.
Yeah, we understand each other, we understand ourselves, but then we communicate that, and other people are like, "What?" Yeah, it made perfect sense to me, but they're like, "What?"
Yeah, and the beauty of it is, of course, at this age and stage in life, it's like, what are they going to do? Send me to my room, because I'm misbehaving, right? So yeah, but yes, yes.
Okay. So let's do this. Kefri has been monitoring the conversation and hanging out here, and he probably even already pulled that 7th card. What do we have as our 7th card, Kefri?
It's beautiful, actually, because it is this card.
Wow.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
So, well, I love this card because behind me is that painting, and that's the painting of the Ace of Cups. It's a very important card to me. And in terms of an overall for your card here, I think that we could do nothing else but look at the idea of blessing, that the Holy Spirit is like the Shekinah on a Friday evening of Sabbath, that the beautiful veil is coming over your life to accompany you in this new phase. And the dove is descending with this blessedness. There's the idea of that it's an upside down M. It's a Maria. It's a Marianic kind of cup. So that idea of the high priestess and the Maria and the Guadalupe and all of these very beautiful, virginal, maternal, feminine diosas, these beautiful goddess figures, are all of them here because they are the ones who are the blessing, who come down to accompany us in this dark place. And so may this beautiful emotional upwelling accompany you through this next phase of your life, and may the joy that it depicts really stay with you as you go through this transition and go wherever in the world you're going to be going, and may you be this to those whom you encounter, because it sounds like that's going to be a path that you're taking. And more power to you, Azucena, because I will tell you, ever since high school, you have been inspiring. You have been someone who has been a leader. You have been fearless. You have been yourself. You were a leading woman of color in a racist kind of era in our high school, and you represented, and you were gorgeous and beautiful and sexy, and we all knew it, and you were powerful, as was your sister, by the way, Gina. Both of you came in and represented like tall, slender, and stocky, powerful, gorgeous Latina, beautiful womanhood. And it was a really important thing for all of us to see, I think, as young people, to see that example and to see it represented as our point of pride for our school. And that's a bit of a bird walk in terms of nostalgia, but I just want to say that you have had a great influence on all of us, Azucena, because of your visibility. You have volunteered, and maybe that's the Leoness of you, that disco ball aspect of you, but you have always been the one to shine out your own reality when the rest of us were scared to do it for ourselves. So more power to you. May you bring it to everybody. And I respect and honor you in this beautiful reading.
Thank you. Oh,
I just
thank
have a
you.
little attachment to just kind of add to what you just said. Whenever I see the Ace of Cups, and it's so completely appropriate for this entire reading and for you, it's obviously, it represents water, and it's a singular vessel of water.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, water is emotion, intuition, right? So, and it's a new beginning. And so I think that the overall idea of this is just, you have the power of water in you, because that's what you are. And just kind of, it's the fluidity of a new beginning, because we never know what that new beginning has to bring. We can always, we start it and it can shoot off into all these different areas, just like water leaks and seeps into everything. It can get around everything, and water is, just, I think, just in my opinion, I could be a little biased here being a Scorpio, but water to me is the most powerful element. I can kind of arrogantly say that, I think, because it gets into everything and there's nothing blocks it, and it takes many forms. So like,
and without it, life is impossible.
I was going to say, you can't, there is no life without water, but life takes, when we're thinking about it in a sort of a new journey or a new beginning, water can take so many different forms. I mean, we have liquid water, right? And then it can freeze, and we have ice, and then you add some heat to it, which is that strength and that Leo, and it becomes steam. So, and there's all kinds of different things and different ways that water can become. And also going along with what I was saying earlier about how, kind of arrogantly saying that I think that water is the strongest element. I do think that, because water can erode the hardest of structures and rock and earth. It also can put fire out if fire's in a dangerous position. So it's almost like the giver and taker of life at the same time.
Wow.
That's how I see, and again, I am a water sign of Scorpio. So of course I have to take it to the dark side as well.
And why not? And why not?
And why not? Think about
it ain't only one-sided. Look at that high priestess. She has the black and the white, it's both. It's unifying both.
Yeah.
She also has the elementary cross that is in.
Mm-hmm. And the dove is always symbolic of the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
In that Holy Trinity, God, the Holy Ghost, and
the
whole deal. So that all of it just really, that right there just kind of tied everything together for me in this reading.
And especially it's like a little universal besito for you. It's a little kiss for you, because you are a beautiful woman. You have a beautiful spirit and soul. You're so generous. And this is just also showing that you, not only are you a blessing, but you are blessed. And so that's a good thing. Kefri, what have you to say about
the seventh card is Venus, as we have been talking about, actually. And then we have here also the gift from a spiritual or a divine power. So there is a beautiful form of harmonization in this reading, actually, because we had that elementary cross. We have the pillars in 3 of the cards, actually, and 4 because we have them in the chariot also. And so there is like an integration here in this reading, that this reading is like it is integrated in you, Azua. And also we have the 5 streams of the Garden of Eden there also. So we have a lot of scripture and holy things here, and also of course we have the Grail in the hand there also. So it's a highly deep spiritual reading, I would say.
Oh,
definitely.
Honestly,
I think that's one of the most amazing readings I've ever seen, to be honest with you. I'm not joking. It really
No, and I'm telling you, it's so exciting to be able to share this with people because it really is just to see these things pop up so synchronistically is very exciting. Asu, how do they seem to you?
Yes, I know. Yeah, and I love what you said, the little besito. You know, I was also looking in the streams on the Ace of Cups. It's 5, and that's my Oshun number. And
oh yeah, you just said that.
yeah, it's so, and I know my understanding is smaller, but I added the oh my gosh, the
pillars?
6, and that's also 5. So
oh, that's right. Yeah, the 3 and the 2 of the wands, absolutely,
So-
on either side of you in the middle.
yeah, so that's what. Yeah, so yes, the blessing, definitely the blessing of yes, be in it, whatever the asu is, be in it. It's yeah, it's pretty wonderful in that sense. It's like, okay, thank you.
It matches you.
It's like, okay, yeah, right.
It really is one of the coolest readings that I have ever seen.
Thank you.
It's relating so strongly back to you.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's
And also the black and the white here in the pillars, and then we have the black and the white in the sphinxes also. And I think there is a message here that spirituality will come to you in every place you look. Actually, it could be in the alchemical teachings, it could be in the Egyptian history, it could be everywhere actually, because these 3 of wands is more of a Celtic card environment actually. So it could be wherever, because it is always presented to you, I would say.
Because you're open to it and you see it. It's always there. And so are you seeing it? As you know, are you picking up on these things that are speaking to you? And it seems like the answer is yes.
Yeah. Well, then thank you for facilitating it though. That's and making it so comfortable and wondrous in that sense. It's like, yeah, I like the language we're speaking. So
wonderful. Well, we like speaking with you, and you are always welcome to return if you'd like to do a follow-up at any point. Of course, you're welcome to do the Follow Your Roadshow, because all of those interesting things in your life that we'd like to learn more about, and I like to ask the nosy questions. So
that would be fun.
As we close this up, is there anything else that you would like to add or say to people who might be curious about tarot? And by the way, everybody, if you'd like to be on the show, go to AlisonPickering.com, and there's a little button, I want to be on the show. Go ahead and do that. And Asu, what might you say?
I echo what you said. Do it and be open, because it is reflective of whatever the question may be, and it doesn't have to be a problem or any of those. I love you mentioned synchronicity. It resonates. So absolutely, it's another way to get information, and it's so beautiful. It's just so
it is. It's aesthetic, and it's meaningful, and it's charming, and it's all these kinds of things. So come on down, everybody. Do the tarot flow. We'll have a good time.
And the information that you have, the wealth of knowledge that the 3 of you have, you can't get that together in one group like this. So,
well, and I will say that one thing that we did have, and we've been able to do it together with Mike here also, but Kefri and I had the advantage of participating in a group ever since COVID. And on a weekly basis, we were meeting up and playing cards and talking to each other and making friends and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're going to be doing with with our academy. And with, so that's why I'm encouraging people to go to the website, because we're going to be starting our academy. We're going to be starting our tarot and our talk and our travel and all that fun stuff. And so if you want to kind of hang out and talk about these things, then this is a good place to do it with people who are trustworthy and have the best of intentions. And we are going to keep it disciplined and keep it positive, because this is not about making fear or superstition a part of our lives at all. Rather, it's about bringing meaning, intuition, and a sense of purpose and direction into our lives, aided by these images, aided in the way that they help us integrate our right and left brain, our images, our intuition, our intellect, our emotions, all those things, so that we can be whole. And so that's our goal. It's our goal to be whole on the Tarot Flow Show.
It's an
So
old
come and
art.
join us. I appreciate you joining us. Whoops! I appreciate
you.
you joining us today, Asu, and I thank Kefri and Mike for being here.
Thank you. Thank
Generous
you.
with your
Thank you,
time.
Mike. Throw
Thank
sign.
you. Oh, yeah. Well,
All right, hey. All right. Let's see all your beautiful art. We'll go out on beautiful art. Okay, this is
Oh,
gonna be
I
an
know,
ink
right?
show. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Oh,
Let's
wait.
take. Okay, bye,
Oh,
Kefri.
wait. Okay, bye. Yeah,
There
look,
we
I saw. Yeah.
All kind. I have a little dog with a poop. That's my old dog.
Oh, of course you do. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
And I have some Hebrew writing because we are conversos, so I have
Oh,
some.
wow.
Yeah, and some Arabic because my great grandmother was from Morocco.
Oh, nice.
And then going through breast cancer, my tattooer made this for
Oh,
me.
nice. Oh, Wonder Woman's my favorite.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, she is too. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah. I told my kids, you better take really good pictures because I'm planning to be cremated right when that moment happens. So you better take really good pictures because yeah, that's a lot of good stuff happening here. So
Yeah, of course. And that's
Yeah.
funny.
It's funny because I know also I've seen some of the art that you do on paper and on canvas and different media, and your skin is your art because you've designed your tattoos, and so it's a really beautiful thing to see you use yourself as your canvas, and so enjoy doing that and illustrating yourself some more and all that good stuff. Same for you, Mike. Kefri,
Thanks.
thank you. As we say bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks
so much.
everybody.
I appreciate it.
Bye bye.